So a few days ago, ladies and gentlemen, I was on your screen talking about Scotland's gender reform bill and how the UK government, Rishi Sunak at the time, were considering stepping in and blocking this bill that was passed in Scotland. Now, if you're not caught up with the news, Scotland passed a bill that would allow people as young as 16 to now change their gender. The new legislation would have lowered the age people can apply to change their gender to 16, removed the need for a medical diagnosis of gender dysphoria for a gender recognition certificate, and reduced the time an applicant needs to live in their acquired gender. So all things, in my opinion, and I don't think I'm alone in saying this, 16-year-olds shouldn't be allowed to do. I don't think I'm evil for saying that, right? I know there'll be people watching saying, oh, you're so evil for... No, giving 16-year-olds the power to change their gender is very dangerous. All right, let's think with level heads here. Imagine if you change your gender at 16 and then at 18, 19, 20, you feel completely different. What do you do then? These are conversations Scotland and left-leaning people don't want to have because, as I said in my previous video, we want short-term happiness for potential long-term pain. And the UK government had other valid concerns, like organisations changing their policies for a minority, Scottish biological male inmates wanting to be in women's prisons. We all know what can happen with that, and gender tourism. In Scotland, you could be one gender and then come into England and be another gender. I'm not too sure how that's going to work out for everyone. It doesn't seem like a positive thing. Thankfully, this got blocked. Yes, the UK government, a day after I made my video, or actually the same day, I think it was a couple hours later, they decided to block this bill. And I think a lot of people are happy with this, but obviously there are some people who aren't. And one of those people is Nicola Sturgeon herself, and she's considering taking this to court. Miss Sturgeon told BBC political editor Chris Mason that Mr. Jack, who I believe is the Scottish secretary using the Section 35 order to make sure this bill doesn't get passed, was making a profound mistake and accused him of launching a direct attack on the institution of the Scottish Parliament. She said it would inevitably end up in court and that the Scottish government would vigorously defend this legislation. The First Minister added, "In doing so, we will be vigorously defending something else, and that is the institution of the Scottish Parliament and the ability of MSPs, democratically elected, to legislate in areas of our competence. In short, we'll be defending Scottish democracy." So according to Nicola Sturgeon, according to her, 16-year-olds now being allowed to change their gender, that very young age, by the way, is now part of Scottish democracy. It's very interesting you choose now and not, 5-10 years ago, because surely if it's part of Scottish democracy, you would have always considered it. Why now? Is it because maybe Nicola Sturgeon wants to bring a culture war to the UK? Maybe. Is it because she wants to align herself with these progressive values, these beliefs, these ideologies, so when the voting comes along, younger people feel more inclined to vote for her? Maybe that's the case as well. I truly don't think anybody can sit here, maybe in Scotland as well, maybe I'm speaking to a Scottish person right now, and truly say, kids as young as 16 being allowed to change their gender as young as 16 is all part of your democracy. What? You have to remember, Nicola Sturgeon doesn't think 16-year-olds are old enough to drink or smoke, which in my opinion, they're not, but she somehow seems to think that 16-year-olds are old enough to change their gender in the name of Scottish democracy. How does that one work? I'm really struggling. Maybe I'm the evil, I'm the spiteful one. Let me know in the comment section below. But here is Nicola Sturgeon venting her frustrations at the UK government blocking this bill. And it's going to cause a very slippery slope, apparently. Can you not see the hypocrisy in all of this? Take a listen.
I think it would be an outrage. You refer to established procedures, of course, in respect of Section 35 of the Scotland Act, a procedure that has not been used in almost a quarter of a century of the existence of the Scottish Parliament. In my view, there are no grounds to challenge this legislation. It is within the competence of the Scottish Parliament. It doesn't affect the operation of the Equality Act, and it was passed by an overwhelming majority of the Scottish Parliament after very lengthy and very intense scrutiny by MSPs of all parties represented in the Parliament. So if there is a decision to challenge, then in my view it will be quite simply a political decision, and I think it will be using trans people, already one of the most vulnerable, stigmatised groups in our society, as a political weapon, and I think that will be unconscionable and indefensible and really quite disgraceful. If we see a challenge this week, then we will be seeing yet more evidence from this UK government of complete contempt for the Scottish Parliament and for devolution in principle. And I would say to anyone who might welcome that because they disagree with this particular piece of legislation, if the UK government is able to normalise action to block legislation democratically passed by the Scottish Parliament within our areas of competence on this issue, then that will embolden them to look to do it on other issues, and we will be on a very, very slippery slope indeed.
Yeah, it's honestly like having a Scottish Joe Biden at this rate, isn't it? You know, they align themselves with all of these progressive ideologies and the buzzwords that come along with it just to please a small group of people. I mean, I struggle to see the court overturning this if she does take it to court. I mean, this could just be, you know, threatening the UK government, but I struggle to see the court overturning it if the UK government itself has come in to block it. If they did, that wouldn't make any sense to me and would probably cause a lot of controversy. I mean, I would also ask Nicola Sturgeon, by the way, in the name of Scottish democracy, what if a 16-year-old who's been influenced by things around them maybe changed their gender and then within 5 years they didn't feel like it was the right move to make? Would she take accountability for that in the name of Scottish democracy? What if one of these valid concerns that the UK government had happened? Would she take accountability for that? No, they would blame somebody else, as they always do, right? You can't have one thing and then not accept the consequences that come along with it. As I said, this is all what happens when you move into a liberal world. You want these progressive ideologies to be passed just to please a small group of people because you think if we pass this is going to make everybody happy in the short term. You know, and then we get to the voting and they'll all vote for you so you can stay in. They want younger people to come out and vote for them. People that align themselves with these progressive ideologies, because if you don't align yourself with these, you're going to isolate some people, right? And I think that's why the Democrats do it. So the younger people come along and they vote for them. It's the same thing. We're rewriting everything in the name of woke ideology. And this culture war that was almost, well, I think it is here, right? They're trying to bring it into the UK. It needs to be stopped as quickly as possible. I do not want to end up like America. We don't need to go down that route, okay? I know we like to copy them, but let's just slow it down, okay? Because I don't think what people really know what they're advocating for if they want this bill to be passed. It's a very dangerous bill. I don't agree with it, and many other people don't as well. What do you think about the bill being blocked? Do you agree with it? Do you think 16-year-olds should be allowed to change their gender? I would like to know. If you have enjoyed today's video, ladies and gentlemen, then please, for me, make sure to leave a like rating. If you're new, hit that big red subscribe button and turn on bell notifications so you never miss a video. But until next time, it has been your boy JD. Please, for me, make sure to always have a great day and stay safe. I'm out. Peace. See you next time.